And this is your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction for Tranmere versus Manchester United and the latest Manchester United transfer news. And all I want to say is, wow, we've got so much to talk about, but let me just read you this. I'm not going to change 8 to 9 months into my reign. I'm going to stick with what I believe and have been trusted to do at Manchester United. The man is not for changing. He's coming out fighting. And I think whether you're Ole in, Ole out or sat on the fence, you've got something from this press conference today. Some really, really good questions. I'll talk about Bruno Fernandes in a minute, but I think the best question was this. Why you talk about a long-term future, why can't United spend quickly like Pep Guardiola did at Manchester City? We're the richest club in the world. Well, what a question. What a question. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spent ages again telling everybody about foundations and roofs and raining. I thought he'd nicked the Mark Goldbridge analogy book. He's talking about you've got to build the foundation before the roof, and we haven't got the roof on yet, and we've had a few rainy days, but when we get the roof on, we won't, we'll be dry. I don't know where he's going with that. Not the best analogy. I could have given him a much better one. But we know, we've spoken about this a lot. Manchester United, Ed Woodward, PR spin, Ole, whatever. We've seen this for the last year. It's always about tomorrow. It's never about today. This Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been at this club for 13 months now. He's nearly been in the job full-time for a year, and we're still talking about the future with absolutely nothing happening now. We'll expand on that in a minute, but what a question. What a question. We don't normally get these many good questions in a press conference. What a question. If Manchester United are the richest club in the world, why can't they go and do what Pep did? Go and spend 300 or 400 million in a very quick period of time? Ole didn't really have an answer to this. He couldn't answer it, because the truth is, that's one of the best questions I've ever bloody heard. We have got loads of money. We've got massive revenues. Apparently. So why do we have to take? Why does Manchester United have to take the time when we know we need players? Why do we have to take 4 or 5 years to bring those players in? Why can't we just go and do it quickly like Manchester City did? Ole's answer to that was, we've got our own way of doing things. It's not a quick fix. Look at Jurgen. It's taken him 4 years to get where he is. Why do you keep comparing yourself to Jurgen Klopp, Ole? Like, there is no comparison. Your CV is off eBay. You paid a fiver for it. Jurgen Klopp, his CV, before he came to Liverpool, was a style of football that most of Europe loved, and he'd won a Bundesliga with Dortmund. So he keeps comparing himself to Jurgen Klopp, and you know why he does it? Because it's about time. It's about spin. If we can get another 2 or 3 years doing it like this, that question was spot on, and he should have embraced it. I thought that question was giving Ole a way out. It was, but he spun it into protecting the board again. Why haven't Manchester United spent the money to give you the players that you clearly need now, and why do you have to keep waiting for that money to be spent? Was basically the question, the way I interpreted it. And Ole goes, well, we do it differently here. It's going to take time. Look at Jurgen Klopp. But only stupid people think Ole's stories about Jurgen Klopp are relevant. He'd be better off talking about 1989. We're back in 1989. But seriously, you can't compare yourself to Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, Ole. The philosophy he came in was a style of football we don't even know what yours is. He's got owners at Liverpool who have a strategic plan. They recruit players that don't get injured for a start, and they recruit players from clubs where they're going to come in and make an impact. They actually research their signings. They've got structure. There is no comparison between Liverpool bringing Klopp in and us bringing Ole in. And it's one of my big irritants, because there is no comparison. The question was spot on. Why are we not spending money like Man City did when we were one of the richest clubs in the world? And he couldn't answer it. He had to say, well, it's not a quick fix. But the question was, why is it not a quick fix? We've got the money, apparently. We're rich. Why can we not just go and get those players? And he couldn't answer it. And I thought it was a great question. And unfortunately, I think that's where Ole squirms, because he can't answer it, because he knows the truth will lose him his job. And that's where we're at the moment. There's too much spin around Manchester United. United reportedly have 650 million followers worldwide. Facebook has 73 million followers. If these fork out £83 each, which could buy the club back for 6 billion, says Jeremy Gusto. Yeah, good luck with that, Jeremy. Thanks for the contribution, but good luck getting 85 quid out of every Manchester United fan. It's just not going to happen, is it? But there were some great questions. He was also asked, but let me tell you about Bruno first of all, because a lot of people are wanting the Bruno. I've got to combine the Transfer Daily and Ole's press conference, which was just wow. And I must just say, for the Ole-inners, I thought Ole did come out fighting, and I thought he was positive, and I think he said some of the right things. So I'm not bashing Ole here. You know where I stand on it now. I just don't think he's the right man for the job. and I feel very sorry for him, but nothing is going to make me change that. He's going to get beat by Man City next week. We're not going to get top 4. We're in a bloody mess. And when he talks about, I'm not going to change my plans that I've, that quote I said at the start, I'm not going to change my beliefs and plans 8 or 9 months in. I'm going to stick with what I was told, what I want to do. Well, I'm sorry, Ollie, 8 or 9 months in, this is a load of shit. I hate to be blunt, but you do need to change if you want to stay at Manchester United manager, you can't come out with statements like, I'm going to stick doing what I'm doing. What, mate, you've lost more league games than you've won. Does that not tell you what you're doing is broken? And he talks about, foundations and rebuilding. Your style of football is rubbish. You've got no plan B. You can't break Burnley down at home in 45 minutes. You can't create a chance in the box. Your style, you might have the right people around you. You might have a strong mentality, but it's broken. It doesn't work. The best thing you could do is break down your plans and try something new, because you are going to get time from this board. You're very lucky to get this time from the board. You should use it to try something different, because your approach is broken, mate. And that's actually from people who respect and love you. It isn't working. There is no philosophy, so you should look to change it. Right. Mark, Ollie was never the right man for the job. Your loyalty of him was misplaced. No disrespect, but the fact that he has an ex-player has blinded many of us, says Tyrone Williams. Well, I'm a pragmatic Ollie outer now. I'm not going to chant it because I do respect Ollie, but I can see the situation at Manchester United, and he shouldn't be Manchester United manager anymore. But he has been corrupted and abused by the Manchester United board, because they've hung him out to dry. I mean, one of the statements, just to spin let me talk about Bruno Fernandes, and then I'll carry on with the Ollie thing. So, in relation to Bruno Fernandes, last night it was apparently off. I still think it's on. That's just a personal feeling. I still think it's on. Portuguese press today, collectively, Ebola, Record, and Ojogo are all saying it's on. It's on a tightrope of whether it will actually happen, but it's still on. And apparently, Ebola is saying that Manchester United have upped their bid from 50 million euros, which is about 42 million pounds, to 55 million, with 10 million in achievable add-ons. Achievable add-ons will probably be 20 goals in a season, things like that, instead of go to the moon and find world peace and stuff like that, or Ballon d'Or winner and stuff like that. So 55 million euros is still only 46 million in English pounds. So I still think, I mean, he's a 50 million. Look, if Fred's worth 50 million, Bruno Fernandes is worth 55 million, which is actually nearly 70 million euros. So if we get him for 55 million euros, we've got a very good deal there, and Sporting are right to hold out on it. So let's see what happens. But United were unwilling to go above 50 million euros, not 50 million pounds, 50 million euros. So it's looking like it can still happen. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when asked about transfers, he said, I got worried for a minute. Asked about transfers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, the squad is stretched, but we're getting players back after the break. And I was thinking, oh my God, here we go. It's like a new signing having Scott McTominay back. But he also said, we're working on a couple of things, and it's about whether the club can get it over the line. And I thought, hallelujah. Well done, Ollie. At last. Push the blame onto the people who are to blame. He said, there's a couple of things we're working on. It's about whether the club can get it over the line. Absolve yourself of blame. We know it's not your fault on transfers, so push it where it needs to push. Because I think for the last 4 months, you've made it sound like it's on you. The money's there, but the right player's not. What we've seen over the last week from Ollie is, it's about the right player at the right price. Okay, so you've got a tight budget. That's not your fault. And then today, it's about whether the club can get these deals over the line. Yes. Start taking the pressure off yourself. You don't negotiate the transfers. Let the world know that. So I was happy about that from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he's pushing the blame to where it belongs. Back to Woodward, back to the board, back to the Glazers. Good. So we know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants a couple of deals done before next Friday. It's down to the club now. That's fine. I can't be negative about that. I can't moan about that. We can't moan about that as a fan base. It's the truth. The manager wants players. Can the club deliver them? That's all we want to know in relation to transfers. So there we go. And I think we will get Bruno Fernandes done. United fans understand there is no quick fix. The club talk about a rebuild, but we haven't had the squad this month. Club conning the fans, says New Friendly. I don't know what's worse, United being in a shambles with Ollie out of his depth, or Liverpool fans well run and winning the Champions League as invincibles, says Syed alias Aliuna. Well, it's interesting about that, isn't it? In the time that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been permanent manager, which is 11 months, Liverpool have won the Champions League and are going to win the league. I mean, what a record to have, you know. As Manchester United manager, I've not even been here a year, and Liverpool have won their first league in 30 years and won a Champions League. It's not. I mean, I don't believe in lucky omens and things like that, but I think everything sort of points to the fact that Solskjaer shouldn't be a United manager. But you know, that's a personal thing. You know, I miss the days when United was feared by many and respected by bigger teams, says Pixie Kitty. Well, you know, we get a lot of people talking about football circular, don't we? And you know, it goes round in. You know, you have good days and bad days. I don't believe that rubbish. I think it was Gary Lineker talking about that. Like, it's a load of rubbish. Oh, football goes round in cycles. No, football goes round in cycles because clubs are run badly. You don't just go, we've had our good time now. Oh, here comes the Lord of Fate. Oh, wow, we're going to be shit now for 6 years. Liverpool's turn. It's not fate. It's not the Lord of Luck. You know, it's about structure. It's about a well-run football club. I never expected after Sir Alex Ferguson was manager that we retired that we were going to keep winning title after title after title. But I think it's expectable that the biggest club in England, much like Juventus in Italy, much like Real Madrid and Barcelona in Spain, and much like PSG in France, that year on year you're going to be fighting for the title because of the resources and the way that you are run. And of course the resources and the way we are run are abject. They're rubbish. And that's why we've dropped off. So it's nothing to do with football being circular or whatever Lineker was saying. It's to do with United fans have got every right to be angry because we love the football club. I think some people look at Manchester United fans and go, oh, look at them, they're just moaning. Like, we're not bloody moaning. Football, to many, is like a religion. It matters. It stresses you out. And when you see the club that you love, and we've got February the 6th coming up in a couple of weeks, you look at this club and it is a religion, and you see the way that it's being run, then every right to be moaning and frustrated with it. Of course. ESPN have been murdering the board, Woodward and Glazers. Steve Nicol said it will be 30 years before another title if Woodward is in charge, says Jacob. But I don't care about Steve Nicol. He was a quiet, irrelevant player for Liverpool years ago. Why is he opening his gob about Manchester United? I couldn't give a shit about what Steve Nicol says because he talks a load of shit, to be honest with you. At least Carragher, you know, all right, he used to play for Liverpool, but he does actually talk sense. Steve Nicol will tell you that we're signing bloody Messi in the summer. Right, let's have a look at some other things. Is top four a possibility? No. Benny says, Mark, you said if any manager in charge when Liverpool win the league, they should be sacked. Let's not kid ourselves. They're going to win the league, says Benny. I know I said that. What did I say yesterday outside Old Trafford? I think Ollie needs to go. So there you go. You've got your answer. Definition of Ollie is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Same crap tactics. Same crap. I can't get my words out tonight. Same crap tactics every week, counter and zonal, and it's an insanity, says Russell Thompson. We were playing zonal marking against Burnley on Wednesday after losing a game because of it against Liverpool, after dropping points against Everton because of it. We're still doing the same things. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said in his press conference today he's going to stick doing what he believes in. You know, he's not going to change it, so nothing's going to change. I'm starting to think that perhaps the Glazers don't particularly want Champions League football because while it brings in more revenue, it also brings with it pressure for more investment, says PG. I don't know. I think they just want to make money, to be honest. But let's go through some of the things Ollie also spoke about. He was asked about the negativity around the club. He said, at the training ground, it's good, but obviously we're unhappy about results. We understand from the fans' feeling, but you get used to the ups and downs at Manchester United, which I found a little bit odd. So he's basically saying that this is what it's like at this football club. You have big ups and you have big downs. But I think Ollie's got to own that this is very different to ups and downs. You know, I remember United in the grey kit getting beaten against Southampton. Sometimes under Sir Alex, we would lose 2 or 3 games in a row sometimes, and we'd bounce back. But what Ollie's saying is about we have ups and downs. This is the worst we've ever been. Like, some people would say this is the worst situation United have been in for 40 years. But certainly in the Premier League era, it's the worst we've ever been. You can't just call it an up and down. This is a consistent sinking. So, you know, I don't think you can just brush it off as, oh, you have up and downs. We're not having any ups. It's consistently down at the moment. He was also said that there's do you think the negativity around the club will get worse if we don't make any signings? And Ollie said that fans know the job that we're starting on. The rebuild doesn't go great. That's just the way it is. You're going to have ups and downs. It's about building a foundation, building a culture. I've got a good group of players that I believe in, and with signings and injuries will come good. So he's throwing it back onto the fans there. Again, I need more time and building. Look, everyone's got a personal opinion on this, and I know that there are a lot of United fans who would agree with that statement. It is a long rebuild. We must give him more time. We must give him more players. When we haven't got injuries, we'll be okay. My answer to that, because of where I sit on this now, is that I think you've had enough time to show us some sort of vision in relation to the way you're going to play football. You've had a year of fixtures and the football is crap. So, yes, you do deserve more players. I agree with that. Yes, with the injuries back, we will be a better team. But it doesn't. You can still, I've seen League One teams playing better football than us. So have you been able to put 11 players out every week? Yes, you have. So why aren't we playing a brand of football that, all right, the players might be limited, but I see people saying we can't play good football because Ollie hasn't got the players he needs to play that football, right? How can Rochdale play good football then? Like, you can't just say, people like Matic and Lingard, they play for their countries. Like, one of them's played a World Cup semi-final. So, like, these players are very highly paid. You can't say, well, we haven't got the players to play attacking good football, but Rochdale are doing it with, a pub team. So, with all due respect to Rochdale, coaching, I go and watch a match on a Saturday afternoon down the local park and they're passing it around. Like, it's coaching. It's not about players, and we're not seeing that. So, all this, I need more time, I'm building a foundation. Your style of football should have been implemented in the first month, not a year down. Why can't we play good football? So I would disagree with that. But some of what he said was good. He was asked about the long term. Like, do you think you're going to get a long term time at Manchester United, i.e. years, when people like Moyes and Mourinho and Van Gaal spoke about the long term and they didn't get it? He said, I've started something, I'm going to stick with it, I believe what I believe, hopefully that's going to be good enough, and I deal with this because I'm stronger mentally than anyone in the world. No, he didn't say that. He said, you've got to be stronger mentally than anyone in the world in Manchester United in relation to world football, and I'm surrounded by strong people as well, my coaching staff. Matt Carroll says, if we get Bruno, a striker, and some injured players back, we might have a good push to the end of the season, then hopefully Ollie goes in the summer, says Matt Carroll. PG says, Mark, I'm starting to think that perhaps the Glazers... Yeah, I read that one. Mark Palfrey says, not having a reaction after the Liverpool defeat was the most worrying thing for me. He can't get a tune out of this team. I think that's very good, Mark, actually. You know what? If you lose to Liverpool, there should be an instant reaction. To then go and lose to Burnley at home, who haven't beat us since the 60s at Old Trafford. I mean, that just shows you the mentality of this team. So when he says the culture of the training ground's good and I'm happy with this bunch of players, that's a load of nonsense. Either he's massively naive or he's lying. You can't be happy with that bunch of players. They can't respond to anything. And you know what? All I ever think about with Manchester United now is a tennis ball. Because all I ever hear is bounce back. There was a player yesterday tweeting about bouncing back. Rest assured, we'll bounce back. We're going to bounce back. We're disappointed, but we're going to bounce back. We're like a bloody tennis ball. We should be called Tennis Ball FC. Because all we ever hear about is bouncing back. But we don't bounce back, do we? So, Ashu says, Pep wasn't giving money this season as before. He struggled too. So did Jose in last season. So did Ollie. He isn't the brilliant one, but there is a bit of tiny hope that maybe he is able to do something. I can't even reply to that. I respect your opinion, even though I just totally disagree with it. I can't believe you've just compared Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to Pep Guardiola, but there you go. But Manchester United do need to spend money. We are going to have a call-in tonight, Vandy Candy, so people can call in via Discord. 8 o'clock tonight will be a call-in. Really looking forward to that. Viniat Dinesh says, I would support Ollie if he stopped saying the squad is good enough. Poch can't change much with this board. Also felt so sad after the Burnley game, feeling so powerless as a fan. Please do smash a like on the video if you are new. If you are watching. If you're new, you can subscribe. We started the season with a full squad and we're still crap, says Scrappy Red Devil. Paul Banks, feel sorry for Ollie. He should never have been appointed, aged under the stress. I still think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should walk. I do. I think he would get so much more respect if he walked. I'd sign nothing and walk away. I'd sign nothing. I wouldn't sign any. I can't be. I've got. Thing is, it might already be in the contract. Manchester United aren't stupid. I bet any manager who resigns or walks away has got a disclaimer in there that they can't speak publicly for a year or something. So maybe that's not a valid thing, but the statement of walking away would be enough. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walked away this morning, then everyone would know why he's walked away, because the club's a joke. He won't do it though. Ollie's a Mr. Positive guy, isn't he? He's a fan of the club. He thinks he can make a change, even though nobody else really thinks he can. But something big needs to happen with that football club. You can't just keep continuing down this route. You can't just keep spinning positivity stories out into the press. I saw a lot of people today, in the press saying that Woodward's not that bad. So, it took me 2 minutes to find you this. Ed Woodward, right? So, when we sacked David Moyes, we had to pay him 5.2 million. When we sacked LVG, this is all from the Telegraph, it's out there if you want to get it, 8.6 million. When we sacked Jose Mourinho, 19.6 million. That's around 34 million pounds Ed Woodward and co have paid for their mistakes. 34 million pounds we've paid to sack Woodward's mistakes. So that's not including their wages that we paid them to get them. That's to get rid of them. We've paid 34 million pounds to get rid of Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho. 34 million pounds. And here we are in January in the worst position we've ever been in the Premier League era. And we won't pay an extra 5 million for Bruno Fernandes, and we're desperately scouring Europe for loan deals. And yet we've spent 34 million pounds on crappy managers appointed by this same crappy board. Their mind boggles. And we've got the biggest wage bill in the Premier League, or the second biggest wage, whatever. We pay 40 million pounds a year more to our players than Liverpool do. Madness. The money wasted at that football club. And yet, they're now saying we won't spend any money because of their own errors. Madness. Glazer's looking new shirt deal at World Economic Forum, says DT. And Syed Elias Alunad says that the difference between Klopp and Ole is Klopp adapts during games. He switched from 4-3-3 to 4-4-2 to 4-1-4-1 when Mane went off and when Jimenez equalised. And, he's a proper coach, isn't he? He is a proper coach. Ed's on 60k a week. Ole should be speaking through his pundit pals. Yeah, but nobody wants to say anything, do they? Ole has got support. He's got a lot of support. Zed Jamie says, did you see the Southgate room? I tell you what, if we appoint Gareth Southgate, I'm stopping doing the United stand. It's not good for my health. I mean, look, I can get through having Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as our manager for the next few years because I'll always come back to the fact that I love Ole, even though I don't think he's the right man. But Gareth Southgate as Manchester United manager, that would be worse than Moyes for me. I don't rate Southgate. I just think he's highly irritating. As England manager, I don't mind it because it's international football. But as a club manager, Gareth Southgate, I wouldn't surprise me if United went for him. But God, no way. Other things he said, he talking about the Tranmere game. He was asked whether it's difficult to prepare for the game. He says it's not difficult because we had a day off anyway after the Burnley game on Wednesday. He was asked about injuries. Victor Lindelof is fit. What's going on with Axel Tuanzebe? He's been out for bloody ages. No one ever mentions anything about Tuanzebe, and he's been out for ages. There's something mysterious about Tuanzebe now. He's been out for bloody ages, and he never gets mentioned. And there's never anything about his return date. It's like this. I think there's something sinister with Tuanzebe. I don't know what it is. I don't even have any suggestions of what it is. But it's just been too long, and he was knocking on the door of taking the spot next to Maguire in Ole's mind. It was very obvious that Ole was thinking about bringing him into the team. And I think we do need him because he's quick. But he's been injured for ages and God knows what's happening with Tuanzebe. It was asked about whether the pitch is a factor. Would you play Eric Bailly in a game like this? Because obviously he's quite injury prone. He's just coming back from an injury. And Ole said, look, we're focused and ready. In fact, what he said was that some modern players are quite lazy because they're used to playing on nice pitches. But Eric's got the preparation and mentality to do well on a pitch like that. I think we've got to be very, very careful. The pitch against Tranmere is a bloody nightmare. It's a typical boggy, sandy mess. And it won't bounce well, and it's going to be a real place where, your modern footballer, Ollie's right, could get injured, might not fancy it. I think with United, we're playing Tranmere, who are near the relegation zone in League One. We should not go full strength in this game. We shouldn't do. I think we will do. I'll do my preview later on today. I think we will do, but I don't know about you lot, but look, we're a stretched team. We've got lots of injuries. We can't afford any more injuries. You're going to go on a play on a pitch that's very dangerous against a team that's going to be very physical. I just think that our number one focus now is the Europa League. That's going to be very hard to win. The FA Cup's a nice bonus, but you know what? It's not worth risking people like Fred, people like Martial, people like Harry Maguire, people like Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's not worth risking those key players at the moment, because we haven't got Rashford, we haven't got Pogba, we haven't got McTominay, we haven't got Bruno Fernandes. It's just not worth risking them on that sort of a pitch. But I think Ollie will, because he can't afford to lose another game. So we get back into that situation that we've seen with Rashford, that we've seen with Maguire, where they need a rest, but he won't rest them because he can't afford to lose. And I think that's what Ian Wright was saying. I know Ollie didn't like it, and I think the way Ian Wright phrased it wasn't right. He said, Ollie's been selfish with Rashford, and that's led to the injury because he's overplayed him. In a way, Ian Wright's right, but I can understand why Solskjaer didn't like those words. Solskjaer is, in a professional way, is being selfish, because if he loses, he might lose his job. So he's going to go with a strong team. I don't think he's sending players out thinking they're going to get injured. It's just a risk you take to try and keep your job. It's a gamble, isn't it? And I think he will do that on Sunday. But I would play Gomez. I would play Chong. I mean, Chong actually played against Tranmere in some in some cup game earlier in the year and scored a couple of goals. I mean, Chong's going to leave, isn't he? But I just think we need to try and mix it up. Maybe do bring a Jimmy Garner in. I would look to do that, because we don't want to pick up any more injuries. Even Poch, if Poch comes, Mark, we will struggle day in, day out. Jones is still there for 8 years just because of incompetence, and they won't change, says Ashley. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And Ollie was asked about appealing, coming across as being a bit brighter and not more optimistic from James Cooper in the Sky Sports. He says, you've just got to get on with it. On to the next one. I'm disappointed and down, but you spend an hour or two thinking about it, and then you get over it and get on with it. Well, that's Ollie. And I think some people would say, well, it takes a couple of hours and then he's over it. We're not over it after a couple of hours. I wouldn't be critical of Ollie for that. I mean, I think it's very easy to be critical of Ollie because he's not a good coach. He's out of his depth. He does say some silly things, but he's still a human being. He's still Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United legend. And he's still Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mr. Positive. And you do look at him from a year ago, and he has physically aged. Sad to see. But he's Mr. Positive. He always has been. The way he deals with his emotions is down to him. And if he thinks about it for a couple of hours and then he's like, right, I'm getting on with it, I'm going to be positive again, that's who he is. That's fine. I ain't got a problem with that. The problem is, as a coach, I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's undermined by the board like everybody else. And I think he's been hung out to dry. And I don't think he's been given the support, and I don't think his coaching qualities are good enough. And that's me being pragmatically Ollie out. But I would never start shouting Ollie out, because actually it's like, it won't change. I agree, it's not going to change. The next manager's not going to come in and change. The only way we're going to change this is if the whole mindset of that football club changes, or they sell that football club. And I don't see any of those things happening. So at the moment, we've just got to stick with it and see what happens. It's a difficult time. It really is a difficult time. But what do? You don't go and throw your shirt in the bin and start supporting Liverpool. Who's going to do that? You support your club through thick and thin. This is where I've always disagreed with people who go, win, lose or draw, stick by the team. Well, you stick by the team because you're a supporter of that club. We're not going anywhere. But win, lose or draw and just be happy, no. I never agree with that. If the club is in the situation that it's in now, I believe you have to be vocal and you have to moan, or whatever people want to call it, because it's not good enough. But your support's never in question. You still love the club. You're still supporting the club. If anything, in the bad times, you're supporting it more than the good times, because in the good times, you're like, yeah, we won today, I'm off to the disco. But when you lose, you're like, you carry it around. It's bothering you. You're angry about it. You're talking about it. So, look, no one's going anywhere. Well, no proper fan is going anywhere. We're here. We are Manchester United fans. But where or how we resolve this, I don't know. Can see how our coaching is affecting the players. Sionku already looks a better centre-back than Maguire, in my opinion. We're killing players' careers. What needs to change, says Jake Marshall. And Spooky21 Gaming says, I would love to be on the fan cam after the Manchester City derby. I'm from South Africa and we'll be travelling to the game on the 7th of March. Well, find the fan cams, mate. Get yourself on. But I thought that was a good comment from Jake. We've said this before as well. Many Manchester United players come to this club exciting and get ruined by it. And I think Harry Maguire at the moment is going through that. At Leicester, he looks a lot better player than he does at Manchester United. And I think a lot of that does come down to the environment and the coaching environment as well. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video, everybody. Bruno Fernandes deal is still on. It doesn't mean it will be done, but it is still on. Negotiations are still ongoing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on transfers has said he'd like to get a couple of things done. It's now down to the club and whether they can get it over the line. That to me was very, very good. Ole says, I'm not for changing. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing over the last 8 to 9 months. And also, the best question for me was, why is it always about the future? Why can't you go and spend the money? You're the richest club in the world. Man City did it. Why can't you go and spend the money? Ole's answer was, it's not a quick fix. We do it our way here. Look at Jurgen Klopp. It's took him 4 years to get where they are. Again, he's relating his situation to Jurgen Klopp, which I think is ridiculous because there are no comparisons between Liverpool and Klopp and Manchester United and Ole. The club was well run at Liverpool. They had a strategy, and Klopp actually had a CV and a philosophy of football. We have no strategy, we have no structure, and Ole has got no philosophy, style of football, or CV. Totally different situations. So I don't know why people keep relating our situation to that of Liverpool. It's massively disrespectful to Liverpool, and it's massively optimistic by us. Thanks for watching. 8 o'clock tonight. Call in. I'll speak to you all later.